Hey, my name is Yolanda, and welcome to Frank Factualities, the podcast. Tune in each week as I speak frankly about life experiences from my perspective and offer you a bit of unsolicited advice. Let's take a little time to laugh, to think, and to cry as we tackle some serious topics and some not so serious topics. Be sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. So, hey, I'm sorry. I'm Yolanda, host of Frank Factualities, the podcast. Thank you for tuning in to my show for another week, joining me for another episode. I feel weird because I started this show off with just talking because that's how I felt. And excuse this noise. I'm trying to get my mic together, but I wanted to say I see why people have sound engineers because I'm sitting here playing the music, trying to make sure I decrease the sound as I come on in. And my head is tilted and I'm trying to videotape myself as well as control the controllers myself. And it's a bit much. So I also see why I don't know his name, but he does podcasting too. He has this roadcaster like immediately or right in front of him. So it's an immediate touch. He doesn't even have to move his arms. It's that close to him. But I understand now, although that would probably be awkward for me. I like to talk with my hands and I'd probably touch all type of buttons. But anyway, how's everyone's summer going so far? It is officially summer. I think that happened last week or a week before. Either way, it's official. I hope you're resting. And I know not everybody's off on summer break. So if you're not off, I hope you plan some sort of summer mini vacation or vacation with you and your kids, because what I do know is most of them are out. So hopefully you guys have a good family outing. And if you don't have any children, you yourself with your friends or loved ones have a good little time with each other and enjoy this weather, because there's something about the sun that does put me in the best of moods. So I appreciate this time, and to the point where I've been forgetting the days, which is cool, right? And what else is going on with me? I think I told you all my son wants locks. So tomorrow we're headed out to get his locks. So this is a new journey for me, and I'm excited about it. All of my children would have already had, I say all of my children. I usually consider my grandchild my child too, even though she's not mine, but she begs like mine. I can't tell you how many times I get her Shein cart. She just randomly screenshots them, or she'll FaceTime me and then share her screen so that I can see what's in her cart. So, yeah, my son's getting locks and my daughter already has them. I think it's been about 4 years for her, and my granddaughter has them. It may be maybe 3 years for her. So, I think I probably will get them, not anytime soon. Maybe when I'm like 60, and I'm just like, I don't care about my hair. Just let it do what it's supposed to do. And I'll lock it up and just get it retwisted or something like that. I don't know. We'll see when that time comes. But for now, I like my shortcut and I think I'm going to stick with it. What else is new with me? Still working on my book. That's been a lengthy process, but definitely fulfilling. I was having a conversation with my brother and my mom the other day, and I realized my brother remembers a whole lot of stuff more than I remember. Like, I don't remember any of these things at all, at all. So, and it's just little stuff. I can't say that they're major things. They're just like, little stories that you just kind of forget about. Well, me. I think that, not think, I know the more trauma you've been through in your life, it seems like those things are in the forefront of your memory. And then things that may be small or minute, you just forget. And I think the In and Out, that movie, does the best job of explaining, like, how was it In and Out? I think how memories and different things are stored, because I promise you, I can't remember a lot. And there's no way to get that back. It's not like you can say, you know what, I want all of the small, because I don't remember like teachers and their names and all those things. People always talk, well, I remember I had this teacher and in this class we did. I don't remember any of that. I may remember a couple of teachers from high school. I don't remember any teacher from like early elementary, maybe like fourth grade. I remember a silhouette of a teacher. And I remember we had a hamster and a crab in the class. So that's what stood out to me the most. Middle school, I remember one teacher in middle school, and that teacher ended up working with me at my job at point, and she just recently retired. But yeah, that's it. I remember, and I only remember that one teacher because of her generosity. I remember two, because I remember chorus because there was an embarrassing moment happening there and I quit that same day. But other than that, I don't remember at all. So no, I lied. 3. Now we're at up to 3. Doing better, right? We're doing better. Because I do remember my hard, what do you call it? It's not construction class, but it was like shop, wood shop, and you would make these little wood items. And then let me tell you what helps me remember sometimes. That teacher was the parent of kids that went to school with me. So it was easy to remember him. And the PE teacher, I think I remember him. Anyway, that's enough of that. That went on too long about that. And I think I did that because it was helping me remember. Anyway, y'all, let's get straight into street talk.
Going on. Let me know.
I'm going to do that again because I had the volume down, and that's what happens when you control your own buttons.
Yeah, look, yeah. What's going on? Let me know.
All right. So, is this debate going on spiritual world? And I want to run it by you all because me and my husband have this debate all the time. And I sent it to him. He don't even be on Instagram like that he lost his mind and was like, what does this mean? But it's whether or not you leave the car running when you pump your gas. So how many of you do that? Now, I say you're not supposed to leave the car running when you're pumping gas because that's just what I was taught growing up. It was something like, okay, the fumes from the engine running with you putting a fuel I can't talk, putting fuel into it, like live fuel. And I don't know what I mean by live fuel, but y'all know what I mean. And that just don't go. So you don't do it unless you want to blow up. That's what I've been told. So I don't do it. My husband's like, oh, that didn't mean anything. You can keep the car running because he doesn't like to be hot. So he wants to keep the car running with the air, or vice versa if it's cold and in the wintertime. So most of the people say what I said. If you go on Spiritual World and you go back to that particular post, and they did a poll, it was like at the time, it was like 70 something percent of the people said that, yes, you're supposed to turn the car off. And like 20 something percent said, no, it doesn't matter. And the other one said, I don't really know. So I think we're right. The 70 something percent, you're supposed to cut the car off. And I wanted him to see that because we always have that debate. So I don't know. It's just one of those things that make you go, I wonder if that's, a thing, or is it just my thing? Like when I was taught my thing. I don't know. This is really weird. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm looking at my laptop camera as well as my phone camera. I wanted to record them both at the same time, but so sometimes I might look a little bit cross-eyed. And if that's the case, y'all just know that I got a lot going on. It ain't like it's two different angles either. They're both right in front of each other. The camera is not like close by each other. They're in the vicinity. So if my eyes look crossed, I am not cross. Okay, cross-eyed. I'm not. They big, but they don't cross. Okay. So just so you know, that's what's going on. My phone camera and I'm looking at myself, which is weird because I normally use the rear facing camera, but this time I'm using a front facing camera on my phone as well as the computer. And that's always, head on. So anyway, moving along, right? The next thing I want to discuss. So I shared this on my Frank Factualities Instagram page as well as my Yolanda Chanel personal Instagram page because I came across this reel, and just like the poll about the gas running while you're pumping, your car running while you're pumping gas, this particular post was very interesting to me. So I'm gonna share it with y'all, and it's about the 5 love languages and how they directly link to your childhood traumas. And the guy was reading it while on his podcast with his co-host, and they were saying, yes, it's true based on their childhood trauma that they were aware of, that this is why you have these particular love languages. So let's get into it. I'll read to you what it says. And I don't know if this is the exact one he read, but I was able to find one so that I can read it to you all. I'm not sharing my screen for those of you who are watching on YouTube. I'm not going to do that. That was a little testy last time. And this right here ain't that big of a deal for me to share while I'm reading. So anyway, it says, by the style love language, you can also predict the past childhood traumas. Words of affirmation show lack of praise, no compliments, often criticized or judged. Quality time shows lack of attention, often feeling lonely, alone, not seen or heard. Acts of service shows forced independence. Let's say that. Physical touch shows lack of affection, discomfort, and showing love. Gift giving or receiving shows feeling ignored or not noticed. Same thing. I had to read that a couple of times because it was not given. Anyway, so do you all agree? I actually agree, but then I also struggle, like the way I want to receive my love, like how somebody should love me and the love language towards me is different from how I want to show love. So I like to gift give. That's my way of showing people love. And it says that that means that you were ignored and not noticed. And I did. I felt like no one saw or heard me. And maybe my way of giving gifts is so that the people can see and notice me, right? Because you're acknowledging that you received it. However, the way I like to receive love from someone is my love language is that I want to be touched, which is physical touch. And for physical touch, let me find it again. It says, showed lack of affection and discomfort in showing love. I didn't have discomfort in showing love, but I definitely had a lack of affection growing up. And my other one I would say would be, because to me they go hand in hand, is words of affirmation. So that was a lack of praise or compliments and often criticized or judged. I was criticized a lot. I was always compared to another one of my cousins. I did not get praised or compliments or anything. So yes, I like to receive those compliments and I like to be given affection. Though to me, those things go hand in hand. You can't just tell me that you love me and you appreciate me. You need to touch me and hug me and show me that you appreciate me for me to feel loved. Otherwise, if those two things don't go hand in hand, I don't feel love. But for me to show my love, I like to do that through gift giving. But both of the definitions of those things were head spot on for me, head on, spot on. It is just how it was. So when we think about childhood trauma, we all have it, regardless of what it is. It may not have been any of these things that I noticed or named, but those things do exist for us. So when we think about that, you know how I like to do these parenting shows where I'm always talking to you all about how you raise your kids and how to make sure that you're teaching them things. You're not just, raising them, but you're teaching them to be productive adults. I really want you all to think about that, because when we think about breaking generational curses, we don't necessarily think about emotions with our kids. We always think about breaking generational curses through education or through money, but we never consider what type of childhood trauma we have with our emotions and the way we love and the way we express love. We don't ever think about that. But that particular five language thing and how it directly reflects to childhood trauma should make you think on how you are loving your kids, not necessarily raising or teaching them, but how do you love them? Do you show them that you love them by hugging and giving them kisses? Do you give them praise? Do you give them gifts and show them attention and pay them attention, or do you leave them to their own devices? Because if you yourself have childhood trauma or had childhood trauma, then you definitely don't want to inflict that same type of thing onto your kids. So you may want to rethink how you're loving them or how you show love to them to make sure that, again, you break that generational curse and that you don't carry that type of trauma onto your kids and then now they show it onto yours. And I don't really know. My daughter is not very affectionate. However, up until probably when she was about 12, I was very affectionate. I used to kiss her on the face all the time to the point where she said to stop. She didn't like it. And of course, little girls get a little moody. They don't want their mamas hugging them. So that stopped maybe about 12. And I, didn't do it as a teenager. And I couldn't remember if I said I loved her or not, but she got a lot of attention and a lot of praise from me. But she's not affectionate at all. Not that she doesn't love, she's just not affectionate. She doesn't like to hug and kiss. And I still do that. My son's 14. I still hug and kiss. My granddaughter's 9. I still hug and kiss. I tell my granddaughter I love her probably more than I say to my son, only because she's the smallest and it's just, I don't see her that much. So we're always on the phone and it just seems so appropriate to say when we're hanging up. But I probably need to do that more. My daughter's 31. It feels a little awkward to say that. I feel like I show my love through Ma can I get, Ma can I have, and Ma gives and make sure she has. So again, me and my gifts, right? But it's important to show them that through whatever way you show your love, but also try to speak their love language. So whatever it is that they need to receive, then you give that to them, and not necessarily just your kids, but also your significant other or your other family members, because my husband's love language to me is acts of service. Now that don't align with what I want, but I recognize that that's how he shows. And based on those childhood traumas, it says that the people were left to their own devices, like they were left to be independent. And he was left to be on his own. And his mom was a single mom and she worked a lot. And so that was just him. Now I would probably say quality time, but not like we're going places and we're hanging out. Quality time as and we're sitting and talking, because he likes for you to hold conversation and talk to him. So it's quality time probably for him that he wants to show. And I try to do my, because he don't care now about the gifts I give. He couldn't care less. Now I give good gifts. I always say that I give very good gifts. They're very thoughtful, especially for older people. For the kids, it's kind of like you just want to play. That's not really, I try to give thoughtful ones, but the older a person is or a kid gets, the better. Because now I can really give you a gift based on your personality, your interests, the things that you're interested in. Or sometimes I usually just go off of conversation. You could just be having a conversation with me. I remember she wasn't one of my best friends at the time. Actually, she was probably just an associate, but she was becoming one of my best friends, and she was my wedding coordinator. And I remember when we were conversing about the plans for the wedding, she was talking about robes, and we were talking about robes and all these things. And she had mentioned like she couldn't find a robe for her size. Being plus size, it was really hard for her to find one that truly fit her. And so, as I thought about what gifts to give for the bridesmaids and all the people that were helping with the wedding, I ended up buying her a robe. Now, she probably didn't even remember saying that in the conversation, but I remembered, and I found her a nice plush terry cloth style robe that fit her perfectly. And she, of course, loved it. So, you just have to make sure that you pay attention and you're being attentional about what it is that you get them. So that's just an example of me being thoughtful into the gifts that I give. So moving right along, we're going to go straight into the topic for the day. And I mentioned earlier that I am in the middle of writing a book, right? And I got a proposition to be a weekly contributor to a blog. It's a faith-based, I can't get it out. It's a tongue twister. A faith-based blog. And I would only have to write once a month and pick a day that month to write. I turned it down. And the reason I turned it down is because it's been taking me a while to write this book. And I get writer's block a lot. Even when I was writing poetry, I have to be in a tranquil spot. I have to like not have any stresses or worries, or I just can't focus. So it's not the easiest thing for me to do, right? Poetry is much easier because you don't have to be as grammatically correct. I can just spit off the dome, if you want to say. But anyway, I said no. And the reason I said no, that I couldn't do it and that I was focused on writing my book, is because over the years, or my time being on this earth, I realized that your intellectual property gets stolen more than you know. And I witnessed this a lot in at my job. I'm very creative and I like to do new things. And I know that that's not everybody's forte. A lot of people they'll see something going on YouTube or out somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, I want to do that." Now, not to say that I do everything that I do is something I came up with and no one else has done it before, but there's always a different flair or add on that I want to do that's a little unique or different. So there's a lot of things that I've started at my school. You ever gone to a job and they say, what programs or things have you implemented? Have you come up with and created? So there's a lot for me. I've created a lot of different programs that have come and gone, or we bring back every so often, but they've all been kind of my brainchild. And then they'll get stolen. They get stolen by another school in our district level personnel, whatever. And when I say they get stolen, no, of course you can say, hey, we're doing this at our school as well. The problem is that they don't ever give you credit for it. They never say, oh, Yolanda so-and-so at this school was doing this program. We loved it so much. We wanted to implement it at our school. Hey, this school started this and we're going to go, keep up with the trend and implement it at these other schools, or as a district, we want to do this district wide, blah, 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 blah. They never do that. So then it makes it seem as though the person at that other school or at that district level is the one that kind of curated it. And I'm not as good as putting all my ideas or things out on Facebook, or especially when it comes to work, like my 9 to 5 work. So you may not know that I was the originator of this particular thing. However, you have to now take an opportunity to say that my time and talents are going to be focused on me. My time and talents will be focused on me, and I am no longer going to allow people to steal my intellectual property. Because if I write for this blog, whatever thoughts and ideas that I put down are now associated with that blog. That's that blog's ideas. Yes, it's me, but it's just like writing a newspaper and it says written by so and so. How many of you see when you read an article in a magazine or a newspaper, do you pay attention to who wrote it? Or are you saying this article in the Vogue magazine? That's usually what you say. I read this article in Vogue. You don't know that Terry Lampkin from Vogue wrote that. And so, unless people are in that world and they want to hire somebody for their magazine that writes like that, will they probably pay attention to who wrote the article? But when you're speaking of it, it's going to say this person, I got this from the Vogue magazine. So I say all that to say that was very important to me because I am pouring my ideas and themes and just creative juices into my own projects. And so I don't want to take time away from that to focus on somebody else's brainchild. And not to say that I wouldn't have done it had I not been working on the book. I may have, but I won't take time away from myself for someone else. And that's what I wanted you all to talk to you all about today. It's how to protect your intellectual property. That could be a lot of things. Your time, your thoughts, your energy, all of that stuff to me is your property. And when you allow someone else to get it, you're not investing in yourself. You're not invested in yourself at all. You have to make sure you protect that. And you talking to somebody about your ideas, you know what? When they say, don't tell somebody what you're going to do, just go ahead and do it. That's why. Not just that people are going to hate and speak this voodoo over you, because that's how people make it seem. Oh, if you are telling people, then they're going to wish bad on you so that it doesn't happen. But sometimes they steal your property. They take your idea and then they do it faster than you. You get what I'm saying? They go ahead and get the ball rolling. And then you say to yourself, oh, they stole my idea. Nobody's going to believe you because your idea never got off of the ground. You just told them what you were thinking, and then maybe they had the resources to do it. Now, I'm guilty of that, but mainly with my little small cohort of friends or my husband, because sometimes you do need somebody to bounce something off of, but that needs to be somebody that you love and trust. My husband's usually shooting in the gym with me. He's part of the project. He's helping me with the money for sure. And also sometimes with editing and doing different things. So of course he's going to be the first person I mention it to. And then I maybe my daughter, depending on what it is I want to do, because she's a lot younger. And sometimes I want that perspective. And then of course my friends, because they're all smart. And a lot of times they can give me the ins and out, ups and downs, yes or no's, try it this way type of perspective. So it's good to bounce things off of them. When I wanted to start this podcast, when I wanted to do the live show, all of those things I discussed with them, like, hey, what do you all think? And they all thought these things were good ideas and then helped me to get it done quicker. So, but protect yourself, guys, because it's not like you can put a patent on your ideas. Like an idea in your head. You can't put a patent on a signature event that you've held. And those things are hard to do. So when you start doing events and, hey, I know you like to make these backdrops. Can you come make one for me? Can you show me how to do this? Can you talk me through how I could do XYZ? That's your intellectual property. How are you going to monetize it? We want the internet and social media to monetize us for our intellectual property, because that's what we're doing. I'm putting my intellectual property out on my social media platforms and hoping that I get enough momentum that the platform will recognize me and say, hey, we want to pay you for your intellectual property because it's getting views on our page. And the more people come here to watch you, the more people are being subscribed or being entertained on our platform. So why is it that we don't see that the same way when we're talking or our ideas or giving people our works for them to use for their own benefit? We don't see it that way. But it wasn't until I started seeing how many people were doing a lot of the things that I was already doing for me to be like, wait a minute, now that's straight up theft, and there's nothing that I can do other than make sure I heavily promote what it is that I'm doing. Heavily promote it. That means when I do it, I need to put out pictures, I need to put out flyers, so that now when somebody does see someone else doing it, they can say, didn't I just saw somebody did that. I'm going to be the first person that they think of when they see it again, because I saturated the market. So when you got an idea and you're doing something, make sure you show people what you're doing. Don't hide it. Take lots of pictures. I'm bad at that. Not gonna lie. I like to sit back and smile at my events and just be in awe of the stuff that I put together. But I'm telling you, get evidence, take videos, take pictures, interview people afterwards for them to give you a recap on what they liked about the show and how it impacted them or the event. How did they feel like it was? Do a quick survey or something, put out some of those statements or data, but make sure you get the evidence and then you saturate it with on your platforms, whether or not you have a website or whether or not you have blogs or your social media accounts, so that again, that's how you protect your intellectual property. It's not that no one else will do it, because there's really no way to say you can't do it. But if people think of that thing and they think of you were the first, then that's what you want, because those people are not going to give you props. Those people aren't going to say, I got this idea from so and so. And so they're just not going to always shout you out. I wasn't the first person that did a live podcast. Obviously not. I got it from Live Conversation. Is that what it's called? Yeah. That's where I got it. Or Tonight's. I said live. It's called Tonight's Conversation. Y'all seen that? I was like, oh, I would love to do that. But in my town, yeah, nobody else who has podcasts in this area has done it in my town. So when somebody else do it, yeah, I was the first. You know what I'm saying? And not that I'm not going to do it again, but life is lifing right now, and I'm trying to balance that out by having vacations and doing these other things. So that may have to come a little bit later. I gotta save my money for vacations and other things that I want to do, right? So it's just all about balance, and my intellectual property isn't paying off at the moment as much as I would like it to. So I got to keep working and keep grinding. But if it's something that you love and enjoy, then you'll keep doing it, right? You just will, because frankly, the fact of the matter is, if you are the brainchild and it is your intellectual property, nobody can take away your creativity. So you will always come up with the next thing. You will always come up with the next best thing, but you still have to protect your ideas. You do. You still have to protect them, but you will always, they may be able to steal one thing, but the next thing, all right, I see you, but I got you on this one. You understand what I'm saying? And then sometimes you just got to get snazzy. On the next time you do something, maybe you'll be like, okay, from the girl that brought you private parlays, the first one in the city to put together a live podcast, we're doing it again, so if someone else does it, you can say I'm the first one to have a live podcast again. Shout yourself out, because if you don't promote you and you don't give yourself praise, nobody else is going to do it. They're going to take your idea and run with it, and that's just it. They're not going to give you credit. They're not going to tell people you did it. They're going to get all, especially if they got more money. If they got more money than you, then theirs is going to be probably bigger and grander than you can ever do. And they feel like you're a bug. I'm just going to crush you. So you got to big yourself up every time. That's a hard thing sometimes for you to pat yourself on the back, to be your own promoter. Trust me, all the stuff I do it. My son helps me sometimes with taking my pictures and helping me with my lighting and sound and just kind of positioning things for me. But at the end of the day, whoever is in this house, of course, my friends are going to tag on and share whatever I do. But at the end of the day, any promo you see, any video edits, any picture edits, all that stuff is on me. So I got to be on my P's and Q's, and I got to shout myself out. And it's not the easiest thing to do. But again, all I can tell you all is that you got to protect yourself, and you got to be intentional about the things that you do. Do not allow people to steal your time. Do not allow people to steal your ideas. Sometimes you got to say no to stuff, even though they will present it as, oh, it's going to look good. You can add it to your resume. You also can add the stuff that you do for you in your own programs and your own projects to yourself, because then now you can say you were the creator, not you were a collaborator. You were the creator of a project, just you. So sell yourself, invest in yourself, do that first before you go and tag yourself on to somebody else. You can get credit for your own intellectual property, and you don't necessarily need anybody else for that, because they're reaching out to you for a reason, because they see that you have a value. You have something that you can add to elevate them. So why not use that same clout to elevate yourself? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm encouraging you, whatever that idea is, whatever that thing was that you want to do, stop talking about it and be about it. And make sure you stamp that. You stamp it, your stamp of approval, you boost yourself, and you get you a team together. That's probably your closest friends or your close family. And you push that thing out. But Gone are the days that we're going to spend time working on elevating somebody else's career or somebody else's project or somebody else's baby. We're going to do our own thing. All right. We're going to work on our own thing. We're going to promote ourselves, because if nobody else will say it, you better be the first one to say it. You understand me? I feel like a mama fussing at y'all, but I mean it. Okay. Do you? Do you, and stop wasting your resources. Oh, and for those of you who do lend your services out and you okay with that, you better be getting top dollar for it. I need you to research everybody who's doing it and you make sure you get paid equally. Stop doing this for pennies on the dime because you know them people, because they coming to you because they know you do a good job, but you're going to be cheap. No, make them pay you what you're worth. I do that young entrepreneurs business expo at my school. And one thing, I bring in a business professor from the local university, Claflin University, shout out to them. And he tells them, everything that you're charging, what was missing was that the kids weren't charging for their time that they were making their particular product. They're only going by, okay, what did I buy my materials at and what should I charge for the actual bracelet? But nobody was paying themselves. Your time is money. If it's going to take you 2 hours to create a flyer for them people, then what's your 2 hours worth? What could you have been doing in that 2 hours? What are you going to pay yourself? Hell, everybody get paid a wage, an hourly wage for doing something. So what are you going to get paid? You have to include charging for your time. Time is money, literally. So include that. So if you making balloons and all you charging is, okay, it only cost me $30 to buy the balloons, and I had to pay this amount of money for how much, how much time it took for you to put the balloon arch together, time it took for you to drive to them people's house, time it took for you to set it up, time it took for you to break it down. All that stuff needs to be included in that. And then you come up with your wage, and don't add, and guess what? People will pay for what they want to pay for. Let's be clear. I've been stopped making assumptions about what's in people's pocket. I remember when I raised the price of the prom tickets at school, I did that because the market called for it. Everything that we had to order, the prices were just going up. So there's no prom budget. Everything that we pay for prom comes from ticket sales. So we don't get money in the pot from the tickets unless we fundraise, which fundraisers are, depending on what you're trying to do, they ain't all that popular no more. So I had to raise the ticket price because these kids, think about it. Your parents are spending thousands of dollars on your outfits. What you look like coming to a prom that got, what do you call it? Plastic tablecloths and paper cups. You know, like when I say paper cups, I mean like Solo Dixie, not like the clear, I'm trying to be fancy ones. You understand what I'm saying? So that's going to cost. So I upped the price, but that was based on the market. I had to go up on it. And he was like, they're not going to pay it. Yes, they will. And then after the second year we were doing it, he was like, you know what, Miss Gore, you were right. They do pay for it. I was like, yeah, they're going to pay for it because that's your price. Your price is your price. You have a choice. You have a choice to either pay it or don't. But trust me, the ones who don't want to pay it, you don't probably want them as a client anyway. And the people who will pay it, them your people. So stick with them. All right. Now, guys, I'm going to try to remember Friday is Friday. And I don't think I got nothing going on Friday because I'm supposed to be on YouTube live. I know I said that last week, but I literally forgot that Friday was Friday. I remembered that morning because we had to pick our son up. But then after we picked him up and had this eventful little thing, I clearly forgot when I got home. So Friday, I'll be on here live. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I say on here, I mean YouTube. I'll be on YouTube live. This show also, I'm going to put on YouTube. Again, I'm working on myself. You see that? And of course, I have a couple of clips or reels out. But anyway, guys, until next week, I'll holla at y'all. Bye.